let's take up the first topic, the philosophy of Li. Roughly speaking, Li could be used to refer to the prescriptions of human behavior. It involves rite, ceremony, manners, general deportment. They bind human beings and spirits together in networks of interacting roles within the family, within the human society, and with the numinous realm beyond. Its etymology seems to show that it originally referred to religious ritual, the proper ritual to ancestors. Herbert Thinkerett claimed that the entire body of Li itself somehow involves a sacred dimension. It may be entirely appropriate to use terms such as holy rite or sacred ceremony in referring to Li. Well, later on, we'll go into the details of Thinkerett's work. Anyway, Li primarily involves the behavior of persons who are related to each other in terms of role, status, rank, and position within a structured society. Within the family, it involves proper behavior of father to son, proper behavior of husband to his wife, proper behavior of elder brother to his younger brother, and vice versa. That is, it might involve proper behavior of the son to his father, the proper behavior of the wife to her husband, the proper behavior of the younger brother to his elder brother. In religious ritual, it involves proper rituals toward ancestral and nature spirits. The common understanding is that Li is concerned with teaching human beings to perform their separate roles well in a society. When everyone plays his part as he should within the community, the society as a whole is harmonious. Then we might say that it is a sacred community. It is sacred in the sense that it takes hierarchy, status, and authority as something universal. In some way, we may say the ultimate end of Li is to humanize hierarchy and authority. The crucial thing here is to figure out how Li works to maintain and clarify the foundations of hierarchy and authority. In last lecture, lecture 3, we discussed how normativity could be derived from ritual structure. Up there, we said within the family, the father has two roles to play: role performer in the family and keeper of the familial order. As a keeper of the familial order, the father works to maintain the familial order. The familial order provides the source of authority and power within the family. This is a living source of authority and power in that they come from the father as a role performer. Central to the working mechanism of familial order is philosophy of Li. So, Li does not present itself simply with a ceremonial order. It is deeply concerned with a normative order, an ethical order that involves hierarchy, authority, and power. We see that the Li of family life is not self-actualizing. It requires the father to take an enabling role in the family. Well, this is also true of political order. The king has an empowering role to play within the kingdom. Without universal kingship, through which virtuous kings may influence an entire society, Li in itself cannot be ultimately realized. However, when Li is realized, it could work to support the institution of kingship. As a matter of fact, the system of Li presupposes and reinforces the proper networks of hierarchy and authority. When we think of ritual community of family in ancestor worship, we find that the ideal family is the ultimate source of all those values which humanize the relations of authority and hierarchy. Humanization of the relations of authority and hierarchy is in fact a form of civilization. We see that the process of civilization takes place in the ritual structure of family. This, in fact, constitutes the realization of Tao. Remember that a moment ago we said realization of Tao has to satisfy two conditions: ritual structure and the process of civilization. So Tao could be restored this way. According to Confucius, family life provides moral cultivation. The moral cultivation comes naturally in the family in that the relations of authority and hierarchy are accepted and exercised not through reliance on physical coercion, but through the binding power of ritualization of family life. The relations of authority and hierarchy exist in a civilized society. So, family life provides a source for redeeming a decayed society. It is within the family that we find the root of social virtue, and this shows a way in which politics is to be constructed. Politics is to be constructed in the spirit that maintains the harmony of an ideal family life. We will discuss Confucian politics in the details later on. So far, we have seen that there is an inextricable relationship of concept of Li to the whole network of hierarchy and authority. The normative order, for example, the ethical order, the social order, the political order, all these normative orders are based on the network of hierarchy and authority. In order to get clear how it is that Li works to underlie the normative order, we need to explore the nature of Li. In this regard, Fingerat gave an example to show how Li works to create a social fact. He examined the case of handshake. Handshake usually occurs when two strangers intend to get acquainted. Let's imagine such a scenario. At a conference, after I gave a presentation, a scholar extended his hand, signaling to me a handshake. On that occasion, I have no choice but to put out my hand subconsciously. Then we had a handshake with each other, saying hi to each other, or maybe introducing each other. Afterwards, we were no longer strangers, we become friends. The interpersonal relation was upgraded. Or we might say that a social fact was created with the handshake. Handshake is an etiquette that is used on social occasion. We did a ritual act on that occasion. This ritual act, handshake, brings about something new. In this case, it is acquaintance relation between the scholar and me. With acquaintance relation, we would behave differently. That is, we had to conform to a new norm that governed the upgraded relation. How is it that we human beings carry out a ritual act that could bring about a normative order in which our life gets regulated? Let us now examine what is going on with a specific ritual act. First, the ritual act is an intentional act. It is carried out for a certain purpose. The scholar intended to show his friendship to me with a handshake. I shake hands with him, showing that I would like to make friends with him. Second, the ritual act is a socially coordinated act. The act is done in accordance with cooperative principle. When he extended his hand, I would have to put out my hand. We cooperate in fulfilling something. In this case, this is a social act. Third, the ritual act is to be done in an appropriate setting. During the break, at the conference, a handshake is appropriate. When I am doing my presentation, that scholar is not supposed to shake hands with me. These are necessary conditions that are to be met in order for a ritual act to bring about a normative order. Well, those conditions might not be sufficient conditions. What seems to be magical is the second condition. The ritual act is carried out by coordination. I did not expect what happened after my presentation. When I found that scholar extended his hand toward me, I recognized his behavior as showing friendship to me. On that occasion, I would also like to make friends with him. In response to his behavior, I also put out my hand. And this time, he saw what I did. And he came to believe that we share the same intention, making friends with each other. And he found that his initial intention was confirmed. In the end, we cooperated, making a handshake with each other. We became friends. The crucial point is that both of us were able to grasp the subtleties of coordination. The process of coordination is a process of socialization, a process of humanization, or even a process of civilization. We human beings, we are not an inborn social being. We were born as a biological being and grow up into a social being. We need to go through a process of education or a process of self-cultivation until we become a social being, until we become a human being, a ritual being. This process starts from within the family life and then extends into the social life. Almost all of us would become a socially acceptable human being. Some would be more socially accepted than the others. Confucius classified the people as 君子 and 小人. So we have a hierarchy of social beings. 君子 is superior to 小人 in terms of degree of social acceptability. There might be even a class of extraordinary social beings who could win universal respect in the world, and Confucius called them sage kings. The human world is hierarchically structured depending on how highly a person is socialized, how highly a person is humanized, and how highly a person is ritualized. This hierarchy is different from the hierarchy based on family lineage. In the Xia dynasty and the Shang dynasty, royal lineage occupies the top layer of the political hierarchy. In the Zhou dynasty, politics was defined in terms of ritual structuring. The ruling class derived their political power from structured ritual community. The universal kingship was based on something abstract. It was based on the ritual structure. However, as we discussed in last lecture, although ritual structure as something transcendental is more objective, it is also more difficult to recognize in real politics. This raises an actual difficulty for political transference in the Zhou dynasty. The question was how the Zhou people justified their overthrow of the Shang kingship. The reason given there was that the Shang king lost heavenly mandate because of their moral and political decay. When the Zhou people established their kingship, they had the politics based on the ritual principle. However, the ritual-based politics did not go smoothly in the Zhou dynasty. As we see, to the end of Zhou dynasty, the ritual structure did not work to maintain the political order. The Zhou king was not that powerful as a king. His political power was usurped by the dukes of various states. And in a similar way, the power of dukes was taken away by the powerful family groups. Confucius was aware of the pathologies of the subversion of authority that took place in the Zhou dynasty. He was also aware of the pathologies of hierarchy and authority that existed with the Shang kings. Confucius realized that both were fatal in history. The decay of the Shang dynasty had begun at the top, while the decay in the Zhou dynasty has come both from the unwise behavior of the later Zhou king and from the assault on sacred basis of royal authority by unscrupulous feudal lords. However, we have to say what Confucius seemed to be more concerned with is the danger of subversion of the frail surviving structure of sacred authority, rather than the abuse of authority by those above. This led Confucius to explore the foundation of ritual structure. Confucius aimed to build the ritual structure on a solid basis. A transcendental ritual structure we found in the Zhou dynasty seemed to be elusive. It is hard to see how that structure could work in real politics. It was easily to be abused. Confucius proposed a different hierarchical structure. This was also a transcendental ritual hierarchy, but it was not beyond human grasp any longer. Confucius' social hierarchy takes shape in an evolutionary process depending on how highly cultivated a person could get. This seems to be a more naturally structured social hierarchy that is in public view. Within this social hierarchy, there are sage kings, 君子, and 小人. However, this hierarchy is not necessarily determined by innate human competence. It consists in the performance an individual person shows in his community. A lot of factors combine to influence the social performance. For example, family ground, social status, political rank, intellectual power, and so on and so forth.